There's not a lot of desserts that I won't eat, but a cakey pumpkin cookie, no, I'm not gonna do it. I don't like it. I'm a big fan of chewy pumpkin cookies, and there's a little trick of how to make it. Today I'm gonna show you how. So if you're still watching because you're in the Chewy Pumpkin Cookie fan club, this is what you gotta do. First of all, type of pumpkin you use. Libby's, it's the best. It doesn't have as much moisture as other canned pumpkins I found. So I highly recommend grabbing Libby's canned pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, just canned pumpkin. Still has moisture because it's pumpkin. So we're gonna spread that. We need a half a cup. This is where things get a little crazy here. You're gonna put it on a plate, then get a lot of paper towels, and we're just going to press down. You can see as I press, at first there's a lot of liquid coming out. This is when it pays to shop at Aldi, because you're gonna need a lot of paper towels. And then just keep doing that until less and less water gets absorbed in the paper towels. It's not going to get dry completely, but you will start to notice that less water will be soaked up. So you're not looking for the point for the paper towel to be dry, because then you would be like cursing me. No one's got time for that. But you can see at this point that it's not as wet, it's not absorbing as much moisture, and then I say you're good to go. So then just set that aside and we'll add it into the pumpkin cookie mix in a bit. All right, for your cookie dough, you will need 3/4 cup of softened butter, which is a stick and a half, and then 1 cup of packed light brown sugar. We're just gonna mix that together for about 3 minutes. It'll get nice and creamy and fluffy looking. So to this, we're gonna add 2 egg yolks, not the whole egg, I know. That's another way of, oh God. That's another way to keep the cookies from not being cakey. We just need the binding part of the egg. The white would add more liquid to it. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then this is something that I add. I like it for, well, it does 2 things. Molasses. It looks like this, grandma's molasses. It adds a little bit of chewiness to it. Need 2 teaspoons. And then it also adds like this, almost like a hint of like smoky brown sugar flavor that I really like. So then just combine that, and then we're ready for our dry ingredients. So I use cup for cup gluten-free flour. You need 1 cup and 3/4. I feel like with gluten-free cookies, it really tells the type of gluten-free flour you use. Then you'll need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right, and now for the spices. We need lots of pumpkin spice vibes. So I do 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and then 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And then we're just gonna combine that on low speed until you don't see any more flour in the bowl. Here's some real life stuff. I forgot the most important part of pumpkin cookies is to actually add in the pumpkin. I'm gonna admit, this isn't the first time I've done this. So maybe set it right next to your bowl so you remember to add it. So to finish it off, you now just add in your mix-ins. I like a pumpkin chocolate chip cookie. I do a mixture of regular chips and then miniature, just because it gets all the gooey chocolate everywhere. But you could also do chopped nuts, you could do dried raisins, cranberries, a gluten-free butterscotch chip would be good, or a white chocolate chip would be really tasty as well. And once that's mixed in, I highly recommend chilling the dough for about 45 minutes. You could go a little bit longer than that as well. This is 2 things. It helps so the dough is more shapeable and you could scoop it, and then it also helps get rid of that grittiness. This has a lot of butter in it, and the gluten-free flour can't absorb the butter as well, so it just gives some extra time for the absorption to get rid of like that, it almost is like a real extreme dense, chewy, and gritty texture to it that we want to avoid. For your cookie sheets, you could just leave them ungreased, or I line them with parchment paper, and then I like to use a large cookie scoop, especially if you want like a bakery style cookie, which is about 3 tablespoons of dough, and this will fit about 6 cookies per sheet. But I'm gonna show you an extra bonus cookie tip if you really wanna nail the bakery vibes. And I use this in my gluten-free chocolate chip cookie as well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your dough, and then you're going to shape it in like a tall egg-like shape and set it down. And then when it like bakes in layers and ridges, so it gets so pretty and perfect. I mean, isn't that what we're always aiming for here? The other trick to get rid of grittiness in gluten-free cookies is to bake at a lower oven temp. I like to bake my cookies at 325. It just extends the baking time a little bit, gives those starches a little bit extra time to absorb the moisture. You could do your own little experiment and do one at 350 and then one at 325. I think you could really tell the difference in the texture of it. So especially if you're doing these large size cookies, then these will bake about 14 to 16 minutes. If you use a smaller scoop, then I recommend checking a couple minutes earlier. You do not want to overbake cookies. That's when you get crunchy cookies, which even trumps cakey cookies as the cookie texture I do not want. So pull them a little bit early. I'll show you what they should look like when they come out of the oven. So when they come out of the oven, you're gonna be like, girl, these are cakey. Not true. They're gonna look cakey. They're gonna be tall and puffy, but then as they cool, they start to meld down and get into nice, legit, chewy pumpkin cookie texture. For all gluten-free baked goods, I recommend eating them the day that you bake them. They don't have the shelf life that wheat flour baked goods do. They lose moisture quickly. So if you're not going to eat them that day, then I recommend freezing them. Just cool them completely. I wrap them up in like stacks of 2 or 3, put them in the freezer. You can also freeze the cookie dough unbaked. So if you want to have fresh baked cookies, I just shape the cookies into the balls, freeze it, then transfer those balls to a Ziploc bag. When you're ready to bake, plop the frozen balls on your parchment paper and bake right from frozen. If you love a good gluten-free baking tip, make sure you check out the website mamagourmand.com. I have a whole collection of desserts, including recipes and brownies, and they all include easy tricks like this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.